Raider Nation, something has to change, and it has to change right now, before this team steps on that practice field today. 5 problems. 5 fixes. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what needs to happen before the silver and black line up against the Houston Texans this week. If you want more honest, no filler breakdowns like this one, hit subscribe right now. So here's a question to sit with before we even get started. How many more times are we going to watch this coaching staff try the exact same thing and expect a different result? Because that's exactly what's happening right now on this roster, and it's time somebody said it out loud. Let's start with the offensive line, because this one has been driving fans crazy for months. Jordan Meredith needs to be moved off center and put back at guard. This isn't a new complaint. The coaching staff has been trying to turn Meredith into a center for what feels like forever now, and it simply is not working. Against the Arizona Cardinals, Meredith played 42 snaps at center and graded out at just 54. 6 overall, with a rough 47. 9 grade in pass protection. Fernando Mendoza got hit because of a blown center snap red, and that's the kind of mistake that gets a young quarterback hurt. Last season alone, Meredith logged 676 snaps mostly at center and graded at only 57. 5. Compare that to 2 seasons ago, when he played almost exclusively at guard and posted an 80. 8 grade. The numbers don't lie. Meredith is a good offensive guard being wasted at a position that isn't his. Next, the safety room needs a serious shakeup. Isaiah Pola has to stop playing free safety. He graded as the lowest performer on the entire Raiders defense against Arizona at just 33. 5 overall, and last season he finished dead last among qualifying safeties league-wide in coverage, 98th out of 98. That's not a bad game. That's a pattern going back to his rookie year in 2022. The fix is simple: start rookie second-round pick Treydan Stukes at free safety, where he already flashed a strong 64. 3 coverage grade in limited snaps, and slide Pola down to strong safety, where his physical style actually fits. Then there's the kicking situation, and this one is almost too easy to fix. Kansei Matsuzawa, the undrafted rookie nicknamed Special K or the Tokyo Toe, should be designated as this team's international pathway player. That status wouldn't count against the 90-man roster, freeing up a spot to bring in real competition, someone like veteran Daniel Carlson or free agent Jake Moody, both proven, more accurate kickers than incumbent Matt Gay has been over the last 3 seasons. Gay has missed field goals in practice that weren't even close, and this roster deserves genuine competition at the position instead of a job handed out by default. And finally, Coach Klint Kubiak needs to play the starters extensively in this preseason game. Max Crosby, Brock Bowers, Ashton Janty, all of them, for real snaps, a real quarter of football. This defense was one of the worst in the league last year. This special teams unit was brutal. The only way you find out if the new pieces actually fix that is by putting them on the field against a genuinely good opponent. Those are the 5 changes. Now let's dig into why each one matters so much, because there's a lot more to this story than just numbers on a page. Start with Jordan Meredith, because this is honestly the one that frustrates fans the most. Think about it like this. You wouldn't keep running the same play over and over expecting the defense to suddenly stop stopping it. That's basically what's happening at center. Meredith is being asked to relearn a position from scratch, over and over, season after season, under different offensive line coaches with different systems. Last year it was Brennan Carroll running the show up front, and by every account, that experience was rough for the entire unit, not just Meredith. This year it's Rick Dennison, a coach with 3 decades of experience and multiple Super Bowl rings, trying to rebuild that room from the ground up. Dennison is exactly the kind of steady hand this line needs. But even the best line coach in football can't erase what the tape clearly shows. Meredith at guard is a completely different, more confident, more physical player than Meredith at center. When you watch him snapping the ball, there's hesitation. There's second guessing. And when a lineman hesitates for even half a second in the NFL, quarterbacks get hit. Mendoza is this franchise's future. Every single rep where Meredith struggles at center is a rep where the quarterback room is exposed to unnecessary risk. This isn't about doubting Meredith as a player. It's about putting him where he's already proven he can dominate. Now here's something worth throwing into the comments: which of these 5 fixes do you think matters most for this team's playoff chances? Drop it below, because Raider Nation needs to hear what you think. Moving to the safety situation, because honestly, this one has been building for years. Isaiah Pola came into this league in 2022 as an undrafted free agent out of USC, and in that rookie season he actually looked promising, grading at 61.7 overall. But watch what happened as his snap count at free safety kept climbing every single year after that. The grade kept dropping. That's not a coincidence. That's a player being miscast. Free safety is one of the most demanding reads in all of football. You're the last line of defense, reading the quarterback's eyes, diagnosing the play before it fully develops, and trusting your instincts to close ground in a split second. Polamalu's instincts point downhill, toward contact, toward the box, not backward into open space. That's a strong safety's skill set, not a free safety's. When Darian Porter gave up a touchdown against Arizona, plenty of fans wanted to pin that entirely on him, but slow down and actually watch the coverage. Porter wasn't left on an island by his own mistake. He was left exposed because the free safety wasn't where he needed to be, out in no man's land instead of over the top providing help. That is a structural problem, not a one-game problem. Now look at what the front office just invested in this offseason. They used a valuable second-round pick on Treydan Stukes, a safety who is built for exactly that free safety role. In his limited preseason snaps, he already looks more comfortable in coverage than Polamalu has looked in years. The coaching staff owes it to this defense, and honestly to the front office that spent draft capital fixing this exact issue, to actually use these players correctly. Put Stukes at free safety. Let Polamalu hit people at strong safety, where his physicality becomes a weapon instead of a liability. Now let's talk kickers, and I promise this is more interesting than it sounds. Kansei Matsuzawa's story alone deserves respect. He's an undrafted rookie from Japan who fell in love with this franchise after attending a Raiders game years ago, and turned that into an actual NFL opportunity through nothing but relentless work. Teammates call him Special K, and there's real affection in that nickname inside the building. But loving a player's story and trusting him as your unquestioned starting kicker are two very different things. Right now, incumbent Matt Gay is essentially winning the job by default, not by outperforming anyone. His accuracy dipped below 74% last season, and across the last 3 years combined, veteran kicker Daniel Carlson has simply been more consistent and more accurate. So why not create real competition without cutting a single player? Matsuzawa's rookie, undrafted, international background makes him eligible for international pathway designation, meaning he wouldn't count against the standard roster limit at all. That opens a spot immediately. Bring in Carlson, or bring in a name like Jake Moody, who was recently let go elsewhere and instantly available. Let the best kicker win the job on the field, not by default. Special teams games get decided by inches and by nerve under pressure. This roster deserves that competition heading into the regular season, not a settled situation built on hope. And finally, the biggest picture point of all, play the starters. This preseason matchup against Houston isn't just another exhibition game to get through. The Texans have one of the most talented defensive fronts in the entire league, and that is exactly the kind of adversity this retooled Raiders roster needs to face before games actually count. Want to know if the new-look offensive line under Rick Dennison can hold up against real pressure? Put them out there against a legitimate test. Want to know how the secondary looks with Max Crosby actually rushing the passer at full strength? Get him real snaps. Want to see what Ashton Jeanty and Brock Bowers look like operating for a genuine extended stretch instead of a handful of scripted plays? Give them that opportunity. This roster was rough on defense and rough on special teams for most of last season, and the only way that changes is through real, competitive reps against a team that isn't going to make it easy. Fans deserve to see it. The coaching staff deserves the information it provides. And frankly, the players themselves deserve the chance to prove that this off-season of changes actually meant something. So there you have it, 5 changes this coaching staff should seriously consider before kickoff against Houston. Move Meredith to guard. Get Isaiah Pola out of free safety and let Treydan Stukes take over there. Make Kansei Matsuzawa the international pathway kicker and bring in real competition. And play the starters extensively, because this is the moment to find out exactly what this new-look Raiders team is actually capable of. Which one of these changes do you want to see happen first? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you next time, Raider Nation. Raider Nation needs to understand before Thursday. Think about Jordan Meredith's situation for a second and compare it to what we've watched happen across this league for years. Offensive linemen who get bounced around between positions almost never develop the same instincts as guys who get to plant roots somewhere. Centers have to make the line calls, identify the blitz, and snap the ball with perfect timing, all in half a second, all while their eyes are looking backward instead of forward at the man they're about to block. That is a completely different mental job than guard. Guard is about physical dominance in a phone booth. Center is about processing speed. Some guys have both. Most don't. And when you watch Meredith's tape at guard from a couple seasons back, you see a man playing fast, playing physical, playing free. You watch him at center, and there's a hitch, a hesitation, a half second of doubt that simply was not there before. This coaching staff, under Rick Dennison now, has a real opportunity to fix what years of shuffling never could. Dennison has decades of experience building physical, dominant run games, and if there's any coach in this building who understands the value of putting a lineman exactly where his body and his instincts are built to succeed, it's him. Raider Nation has watched this line get pushed around for years now. The fix isn't complicated. It's right there on the tape. Now think bigger picture about the safety room, because this isn't just about one player struggling. This is about years of a talented roster failing to maximize what it already had. Isaiah Pola is not a bad football player. Let's be completely honest about that. This is a man who came into the league with nothing, no draft pedigree, no guarantee, and fought his way into a starting role through pure will. That deserves respect. But respect for the journey doesn't mean ignoring what the tape has shown for years. Every single season, as his free safety snap count climbed, his coverage grade dropped. That is not bad luck. That is a coaching staff refusing to adjust to what the numbers were screaming the entire time. Now compare that to what the front office just did. General Manager John Spytek used real draft capital, a second-round pick, on Treydan Stukes, a player built specifically for exactly the role Pola has struggled in. That is not a coincidence. That is an organization quietly admitting the free safety experiment needed to end. And here's the emotional part for Raider Nation to sit with: if this coaching staff doesn't make the move, and Stukes proves the fix everyone can already see on tape, that's not just a wasted rookie season. That's a wasted opportunity to fix a problem that has haunted this defense for years. Put Stukes where he belongs. Let Pola be the physical, downhill presence he's always looked more comfortable being. Everybody wins. Let's circle back to the kicker room one more time, because there's a story buried in here that a lot of fans are sleeping on. Daniel Carlson spent close to 8 seasons as this franchise's guy at kicker, steady, reliable, a name Raider Nation trusted every single time he jogged onto the field for a big kick. That kind of stability at the position is rare in this league, and losing it left a real hole that hasn't been properly filled since. Matt Gay was brought in because of history with the new special teams staff, and that's a completely understandable reason on paper. But history doesn't win football games in December. Accuracy does. And right now, the tape says Gay hasn't been that guy for 3 straight seasons running. Meanwhile, you've got Kansei Matsuzawa, a name that should give every single fan in this fan base a reason to smile, a kid who fell in love with this franchise from thousands of miles away and turned that love into an actual NFL roster spot through nothing but grinding. His story deserves a real chance to develop, not a rushed audition under pressure with no real competition around him. Designating him as an international pathway player protects his development and opens the door for real competition at the position, whether that's bringing Daniel Carlson back into the fold or grabbing a name like Jake Moody off the market. Either way, this roster wins. Either way, Special K gets protected. That's not a hard decision. That's common sense. And finally, let's talk about why playing the starters against Houston matters more than almost anyone realizes. Preseason football gets a bad reputation, and a lot of that reputation is earned. Most of these games mean nothing. But this one is different, because of exactly who's on the other sideline. Houston brings one of the most physical, disruptive defensive fronts anywhere in this league, and that is precisely the kind of environment that tells you the truth about a rebuilt roster. Anybody can look good against a defense that isn't trying. Nobody fakes success against a front seven that's coming downhill with bad intentions. If Max Crosby gets after the quarterback in this game, that tells you something real about where this defense stands. If Ashton Jeanty and Brock Bowers get extended run against a defense that isn't rolling over, that tells this coaching staff exactly what still needs work before the games start counting. Raider Nation has waded through enough rebuilding seasons to have earned this. Not empty preseason optimism. Real answers, earned against real competition, before it actually matters. 5 changes. Real reasons behind every single one. And a coaching staff that has every opportunity right now to prove Raider Nation's trust was never misplaced.